As our chairman reminded you, our neighbors now are all the countries of the world, so that we cannot relate our foreign policy just to a few countries around us, but have to think of practically every country in the world and take into consideration all the possible areas of conflict, trade, economic interest, etc. It has been recognized now that if there is a conflict on a big scale anywhere in the world, it is apt to spread all over the world. That is, war has become invisible and therefore peace is indivisible. Therefore, our foreign policy cannot limit itself to the nearby countries. Nevertheless, the nearby countries always have a special interest in one another, and India must inevitably think in terms of her relations with the countries bordering her by land and sea. What are these countries? If you start from the left, Pakistan, I would also include Afghanistan, although it does not touch India's borders, Tibet and China, Nepal, Burma, Indonesia and Ceylon. In regard to Pakistan, position has been a very peculiar one owing to the way Pakistan was formed, and India was upset, that you all know, but something much deeper, and that is a complete emotional upset of all the people in India and Pakistan because of this. It is very difficult thing to deal with, a psychological thing which cannot be dealt with superficially. A year and a half or more has passed, and there is no doubt at all that our relations have improved and are improving. There is also no doubt at all in my mind that it is inevitable for India and Pakistan to have close relations something or other in the future. I cannot state when this will take place, but situated as we are with all our past, we cannot really be just indifferent neighbors. We can be either hostile or each other or very friendly with each other. Ultimately, we can only be really very friendly, whatever period of hostility may intervene in between, because our interests are so closely interlinked. As far as the other countries are concerned, our relations with them are quite friendly. Take for instance Afghanistan, and our relations with Afghanistan are exceedingly friendly, and our relations with Tibet, Nepal and all the neighboring countries are also very friendly. If our neighboring countries have in the sense the first place in our minds, then the second place goes to the other countries of Asia, with whom we are also fairly intimately connected. Now, India is very cruciously placed in Asia, and her history has been governed a great deal by the geographical factor plus other factors. Whichever problem in Asia you may take up, somehow or other, India comes into the picture. Whether you think in terms of China or the Middle East or Southeast Asia, India immediately comes into the picture. It is so situated that because of past history, traditions, etc., in order to any major problem of a country or group of countries of Asia, India has to be considered. Whether it is a problem of defense or trade or industry or economic policy, India cannot be ignored. She cannot be ignored India because, as I said, her geographical position is a compelling reason. She cannot be ignored also because of her actual or potential power of and resources. Therefore, whatever our own views may be by virtue of her practical position and other reasons, India is bound to play an important part in Asia, whether it is Western Asia or the far east of Southeast Asia. It is so happen, of course, that even culturally speaking, our bonds are very great with all these parts of Asia, whether it is Western Asia or far east of Southeast Asia, and these bonds are very old and very persistent. A very crucial thing happened when Roughly speaking, British power come to India and British dominion was established here. This was the reason why we were cut off from all our neighboring countries of Asia. Our contacts were then in with England across the seas, and while to some extent we struggled again that domination and resented those contacts, nevertheless they were there and we saw the world more and more though that window, the British window. Very few people went to the other Asian countries from India and very few came here from there. And even those few people from Asia we met in Europe and not in Asia. Now in recent years that process has been reversed or is being reversed for a variety of reasons. Initially, I suppose the one major factor was air travel. Air travel brought us immediately into close contact with our neighbors because if we went to Europe, we passed through Baghdad and Tehran and other places. Air travel not the only factor, there are also political reasons that are now bringing about these changes for further development. Some people talk rather loosely and, if I may say so, rather foolishly of India becoming the leader of this or the leader of that or the leader of Asia. Now, I do not like that at all. It is a bad approach, this business of leadership. But it is true that because of the various factors I have mentioned, a certain special responsibility is cast on India. India realizes it and other countries realize it also. The responsibility is not necessarily for leadership but for taking the initiative sometimes and helping other to cooperate. Now, foreign policy is normally something which develops gradually. Apart from certain theoretical propositions we may lay down, it is a thing which, if it is real, has some relation, actuality, and not merely to pure theory. Therefore, we cannot precisely lay down our general outlook or general approach, but gradually it develops. We are, as an independent country, a fairly young country at present, although we are a very ancient country and we have all the advantages and disadvantages of being an ancient country. Nevertheless, in the present context of foreign policy, we are a young country and therefore our foreign policy is gradually developing and there is no peculiar reason why we should rush in all over the place and do something that comes in the way of this gradual development. As I said, our general policy has been to try to cultivate friendly relations with all countries. But that is something which anyone can say. It is not a very helpful thought. It is almost outside, if I may say so, of politics. I may be just a verbal statement or a moral urge. It is hardly a political urge. Nevertheless, something can be said for it even on the political plane. We cannot perhaps be friendly always with every country. The alternative is to become very friendly with some and hostile to others. That is the normal foreign policy of a country, very friendly with close relations with some, with the consequence that you are hostile to others. You may be very friendly to some countries and you cannot just be equally friendly with all countries. Naturally, you are more friendly with those with whom you have closer relations, but that great friendliness is good. But if it merely reflects hostility to some other country, then it is something different. May I say that I do not for an instant claim any superior advantage point for India to advise or criticize the rest of the world. I think we are merely trying not to get excited about these problems, and anyhow, there is no reason why we should not try. It follows therefore that we should not align ourselves with what are called power blocks. We can be of far more service without doing so, and I think there is just a possibility that at a moment of crisis our peaceful and friendly efforts might make a difference and avert that crisis. If so, it is well worth trying. When I say that we should not align ourselves with any power blocks, obviously it does not mean that we should not be closer in our relations with some countries than with others. That depends on entirely different factors, chiefly economic, political, agricultural, and many other factors. At the present moment, you will see that as a matter of fact, we have far closer relations with some countries of the Western world than with others. It is partly due to history and partly due to other factors, present day factors of various kinds.